Hello, beautiful souls. I am super excited for today. We are filming another episode of the Bee podcast, and today we have the incredible Abby Kneipp. Oh my God, sister, I'm so excited.
So am I.
From the other side of the world too. Like, you're not even here anymore. You're on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And we just get to like play and create so much magic today. So I just want to honor you and say thank you. And yes, and like just sharing your wisdom and your magic in this realm and for what this space is going to create. Like, I'm so excited for where this is going to move.
Me too, beautiful. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this.
Oh, my pleasure. So I was just telling Abby that I'm wearing my Live Free shirt because Abby is like totally diving us deep into Endangered Wild Woman, which I'm like, yes. So I was like, how can I embody this today? All right, beautiful sister, let's dive in. For those of you that don't know this incredible queen, please let the world know a little bit about you and how you got to be where you are in this magical realm of Endangered Wild Woman.
Thank you. For all of the beautiful people tuning in and watching this. My name is Abby Kneipp, and I've been on this journey for quite some time. It's what I'm most passionate about is the wild woman. And I've always been really, really bold. Like, even as a young girl, I would always just want to test my own edges. And I remember coming home at the age of 10, one of my first memories of tapping into my wildness. And I said to my father, I really want a motorbike. And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm serious. I was quite a defiant kid. I didn't like being told what to do. And he said, will you listen to me by showing you how to ride the bike? I was like, I promise. And I was the best student ever because to me it equaled freedom. Yeah. And so he got me a bike, he taught me, and out of a week I was off. Every day coming home from school, riding this motorbike in the bush in Australia, like no one around me. And I loved like climbing trees, and I love like I was always adventurous. And going into my teenage years, and I was quite in the destructive, wild woman, like drinking and partying and drugs and losing myself in all of that. And really what was wanting to come through was my spirit wanting to emerge, like really wanting to express myself. But I got lost in that realm for a little bit. And then I remember, at one point in my journey going, I really want to change my life. Like, I'm not happy. And I was like 20, 21. And I said, universe, I want to change my life. And I quit drinking. And my mom messaged me a week later and said, do you want to go to personal development seminar? And I was like, sure. Didn't really know what it was about. Didn't even look at it. Didn't even look at the link she sent me. I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. That's really in a nutshell. Let's do it. And so I went, and I was like, whoa, it like blew my mind. I signed up to do the business one. Didn't really know why I was there. And then I got a free spot in a 6-month like coaching NLP course, and I passed. So I became like an NLP master practitioner and life coach at age 22.
Amazing. Can we just take a moment to like celebrate that? Like, sister. Like, wow. I just want to honor you for that. Like 22, and you've just gone, you know what? I'm changing my life. I'm stopping drinking, and I'm going to be a life coach. Yes. Please continue, my love. Just wanted to celebrate that.
Yeah, thank you. And I remember just going at that time, which was really cool. I was like, cool, like I've learned all these things, I'm certified. But I remember my humility came online, and I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to teach people these things because I've got a lot more to live.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even I never had the idea of I was going to be self-employed. I was just really following the breadcrumbs, and then did the complete opposite. What I would call on the other side of the spectrum was I went to Central and South America for a year with my brother, and I backpacked. And that's where I did Mama Ayahuasca. I didn't even tell anyone I was going to do it. No one I knew had really journeyed with it before. I just found all these articles online, and it was kind of just like I kept it to myself. And I sat with the plant medicine. I was like, oh my gosh, I just completely changed a lot of what I thought was my reality to something completely different, purged and purged and purged, and sat with Indigenous tribes, learned of elders, and really humbled myself, and it made me appreciate my culture in Australia even more. That tends to happen when you're away from your country. You're like, wow, what I've been able to experience living in Australia, it's a very, very special, special country. And came back, well, fell in love. I went through abuse. I got sexually assaulted, fell pregnant at the end of that trip, and had an abortion. And I remember I put my hands on my womb and I was like, I've got to protect my womb. I've got to understand this is sacred. And it just came through to me on a beach in Mexico. And then from there on, I just kept finding women online that were talking about the womb. It was highly triggering, but I knew I needed to understand it. And I got into the mysteries of the womb. I used to have pain all the time when I bled, and I completely healed that and understood on a deep level what the wild woman really meant. Not the destructive wild woman, but like the wild woman that's free in her own body, that speaks her truth, is uninhibited in her pleasure, in her expression of her true self. And I started just journeying even deeper. I found women that inspired me, and I allowed myself to be in their retreats and in their trainings. And even though it was intimidating and triggering, I allowed myself to just sit and learn from these women that really embodied that. And I became trained in sacred female yoga and understood Tantra and embodied Tantra, been involved with jade eggs and crystal wands for probably about 8 years now. And just my journeys have taken me all around the world. There's so much to say in what I've experienced. I've had a near death, lost my father to suicide, had many plant medicine journeys over the last 8 years. And then I became fully self-employed, quit my 9 to 5, and then delved deep into child trafficking and really just gone, okay, my purpose here on earth is to support as many women as possible to unleash their wild woman into the world, to come back into their pleasure, and to bring an end to child trafficking. That is my focus of the work that and knowing that we women can actually be it all and hold it all. We can be mothers and wild women and have a thriving business and be proud of that and be wealthy and thrive in all areas. We don't ever have to feel we can only do one thing. That's really what I'm a stand for. Seeing women just so in their power, it makes me so happy. I don't see women as my competition at all. And I've never felt actually competitive against women. I just don't. I'm inspired by them.
And I've always felt that with you. Always, always. There's been no standing on, or I've got to be better than, or seeing any division. It's always you've just fully seen, and I've always felt so deeply held and seen and loved by you. So I totally can stand for and attest to everything you're saying, because you really do embody that.
So much. That means the world. And of course I can still I'm human, get triggered, but it's it's an invitation to go, oh wow, where am I not embodying that deeper, or where is that woman inspiring me to go even deeper into that component of myself? I want to be triggered by women.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I honestly that embody things deeper than I do, because they show me what's possible. And I'm like, wow, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for being that woman and being courageous enough to go into that in a society that says you can't do that, or you can't be that, or you can't have that. Oh, it's such an invitation to go, wow, thank you. And that trigger really is a representation of society saying, I can't be that, or I can't experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another aspect that I'll finish off with introducing myself in around the wild woman too is I really love the energy of the jaguar, and I've been deepening into that. I've been in Mexico for 10 months. I left Australia when everyone said I couldn't travel, when it was banned. I just went, I've got to go. And I miss Australia deeply, but it was just even though I was called over to be in a relationship, it was so much bigger than that. And like, I know that when I come back onto my soil of my country, I've just got so much to share and give back, and to support my people and what's going on. And it's been such an initiation living in Tulum, Mexico, not having sisters around me, not having family, and just like one thing after the next for almost 10 months straight of being here. This land is no joke. And a lot of the Mayans did ceremonies here. There's like temples everywhere. It's a very powerful vortex of energy, the most powerful place I've ever been in my life. And I've called on the Jaguar so many times, and she's helped me to just embody my power. Like, no matter what's going on, like, you've got yourself. No matter the chaos, no matter what's happening in the external, you've got you. And that's another aspect of the wild woman. Like, no matter what happens, we've got ourselves, no matter what. So, yeah.
Just letting all of that land. Thank you. So there's so many pieces I feel like we could go into, but I guess for those who are listening who are maybe starting to connect in with their consciousness and their wild woman, what would you recommend? Like, how do you work through your triggers? Like, how do you witness them and then shift through them so that other women that are listening to this, or even men that are listening to this, that can witness their own trigger, that maybe can take away some tips from you?
Great question, sister. I love this question. Yeah, for me, what I do personally, like when I'm triggered, whether it be by my beautiful partner or, a woman online, or I've read something, I'm like, oh, that's moving something in me. I feel the first thing is for me to just accept that I'm feeling triggered. I think one of the hardest things we can do for ourselves is shame ourselves for being triggered and thinking that there's something wrong with ourselves, or thinking that there's something wrong with that person. Just going, oh, wow, this is moving something in me. I accept that I'm feeling triggered. And then going, okay, cool. Like, how do I feel? Oh, I feel uncomfortable in my body. Okay, cool. Like, what's it bringing up in me? And then acknowledging the emotion. It could be fear. It could be going, oh, wow, I'm actually not feeling good about myself, or I'm feeling like I'm not doing a good enough job in this area of my life, or feeling like there's something wrong with me. And then it brings us back into that compassion of, oh, wow, it's just like a younger part of me just needing to be witnessed and loved. And then going, okay, what does this part of me want to say? And it's all best to just like turn off the phone, remove any distractions, and going, okay, what does this part of me want to express right now? Oh, it's feeling really hurt, this younger part of me, and just like really hearing that. Usually it's generally always a younger part of ourselves that wasn't acknowledged or heard when we were younger, and allowing that part of us to speak. And then I usually move the energy. So whether it's through releasing through rage, I could be feeling really like, oh, just like really angry or something. I'll go and scream into a pillow, or like punch a pillow and allow myself to move that. Or if I'm feeling really sad or tender, just holding myself and moving, but allowing that energy to move, and not having a goal to quickly transmute it either, but going, okay, just giving it space to move, not shaming it, allowing it to be there. And then it's like, oh, wow. Like giving yourself permission to feel and trusting your body. Your body will let you know how it wants to move. Or maybe you just want to get up and shake it off, or put on a song and dance it out. And then whether you want to journal about it, or speak to a friend about it, or maybe you're inspired to just share something about it online, or just giving it space to actually share with you what it's telling you. And then you'll be able to move through the other side, and you're like, wow, I understand myself on a deeper level. Like, our triggers are a doorway into more of our divinity. That's all that they are. They're not here to hold us captive in any way.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Our triggers are here to open a doorway to divinity. Oh, yes, sister. Thank you. Oh, wow. Like, that was just, oh my God. Like, so relatable. And I think so many people will be able to actually take that and not just be like, what does that even mean? Like, truly actually go, oh, okay. Like, I so get that. I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah. I
understand that. Yeah. But I would love for you to share, what does endangered wild woman mean to you? And why is this so important for you?
So endangered wild woman means to me that the wild woman has been, she's been suppressed for some time. She's been lost amongst history, her story, you know, and it brings up like sadness in my chest as I say it, like her story has been lost. You know, when we look back upon his story, it's all generally about men, and like hardly any stories about the women. Like in all the textbooks and all the things we get told at school, and all of the things that we get conditioned to believe that is true, is like, where were the women? What about their stories of courage and bravery and things like that? There's so many things that have been, I feel in my heart, on purpose, hidden from all of us around the true her story of woman, and how she has overcome challenges, and how she has become, you know, who she is today. We get, I feel, very generalized things of, in the 60s the women rise up into the feminist movement, but like where are the actual pieces of information, you know? And a lot of women I've journeyed with, you know, a lot of goddess statues have been like completely destroyed, or they've been cemented over. And some of them still live in like Greece and other places around the world that have been found again. Isis statues and other statues in Egypt have been attempted to be destroyed. And it's just a representation of how far society's become from the feminine. You know, you look at what's happening to the earth, the destruction of the planet. It's a complete representation of our disconnection from the feminine within all of us. So to me, what the wild woman means to me, the endangered wild woman, is like, that part of us that's just unafraid to completely be who we are, and to make a stand for our planet, for our children, for the future generations. It's like women, I feel we make decisions based on how this is going to affect our children's children. Even if we're not mothers yet, we think ahead. We don't just think about, cool, how is this going to just like, you know, impact my life now. We're thinking about everything, the whole ecosystem. Like we just are so naturally, intrinsically interconnected to everything that is. And like the endangered wild woman, also there's so many nuances and subtleties and different dimensions we can talk about. A book I recommend is Women Who Run with the Wolves. The way that she understands the psychology of woman just turns on. One of the greatest books of all time. And she speaks about like, if we don't bring the endangered wild woman, if we don't embody her and really understand who she is within us, we lose a part of ourselves. We can't fully be all that we are. We are born wild, and not in that destructive, immature wild, but that like we are naturally these wild creatures that are connected to the earth and all of her cycles. We bleed. Each phase of our cycle represents summer, autumn, winter, spring. Like our phase of our cycle in our months is directly correlated to Mama Gaia. And like we are connected to everything. The howling of the wolves, the cries of our babies, the deep pain of our sisters, the pleasure of our sisters, the deep drumming of the earth, our brothers that speak their truth with their fierce warrior. Like that is the endangered wild woman. And I feel like she's coming online again, and she's remembering who she is, and she's standing up and going, you can't destroy our earth anymore. You can't take away our babies. You cannot take away our rights and dumb down our men. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because I've been speaking to a lot of people about this, like over the last 6 to 12 months specifically, and going to these protests, but more freedom marches. And they're all women. Like there's some men there, but a lot of the crowd are women. And it's like, we are literally standing up, and where are the men that were there to protect us and to hold us? We're now doing that, and we're now stand for humanity. We're now stand for our men, and like calling our men forward, saying, hey, like we see you and we love you, but we need you to come forward and like stand back in your power. Honor us. And honor yourself, and honor humanity, and honor and like our rights and humanity, like all the things. So yes.
Oh, yes, sister. Yes, that's it. Because the wild woman, she loves her men. We love our men. We want to see them in their full power. We're not afraid. That's the other aspect. A woman that's reclaimed her wild energy isn't afraid of the man's wild energy either. We want to see it. We want to feel it. It invigorates us. It turns us on. We're a stand for it.
Yes. And this isn't about feminism. This is about feminine grace and and I want to really differentiate that between anyone who's listening to this. This isn't feminist movements and where we're saying that females are better than or bigger than or what, none of that. And I feel like that's one of the illusions that have come through over the last few years is this segregation of women, and it's not about that. This is actually sovereignty.
Yes. Sovereignty. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because from my own deeper research, and I respect everyone's unique beliefs, I looked into the feminist movement. I was like, wow, I feel like that was backed by a not pure agenda. Like it, to me, true feminism is equality. And I very rarely use words like feminist movement because I don't feel that was all inclusive. And of course I did the best I could during that time. Absolutely. But to me, true feminism is all beings recognizing that we are equal. And, it's also supporting men in their healthy inner feminine as well, and supporting them to raise that up within themselves. Because once a man has, oh my gosh, of course he's going to protect women because he's protecting his inner feminine. Totally. Of course. Why wouldn't he?
And he's protecting his mother and his daughter and his sister and, all of that as well. And he wants to reclaim all of that within him too.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, beautiful sister. So I would love for you to speak into really leading on from the feminist and what that represented to how does that actually merge with the divinity and the sacredness of the endangered wild woman, and how can we actually really honor her? How can we move away from the feminism and the feminist movement and the darkness, one might say, into what I truly believe is the light of the feminine, the sacredness of the wild woman?
Oh, I love this question so much. Your questions are amazing. Oh, I love this. I'm so excited to delve into this because I've been going deeper into this myself. So what I will share around this is from my own embodied experience as always, but for so long I feel like the wild woman has been kind of in the dark, in the void, in the, and that's been necessary until I feel like now. Totally. And of course, always times when we go back into the void with our creativity, when we're bleeding in our womb, when we just need that time. But I feel like we've just been getting really ready to emerge. I have always been really comfortable with my wild woman and kind of the dark feminine and the seductress and all of that. And since being here in Mexico, I came over here to be in a relationship. I went through a breakup at the start of the year. And then I was just noticing similar dynamics playing out with men. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break and I'm going to really look at myself and the areas where I've still got a bit of dysfunction with men. And for 1 month, I hardly even spoke to men. When I was out and about, not to be rude, but just to really not give them attention or seek any type of validation that was still there in subtle ways. And I sat with myself for a month. I cried, I purged, I apologized to the masculine. And I was like, whoa, there's still a part of my feminine wanting to overpower them out of fearing that they were going to keep overpowering me because of what's happened for women for so long. And I was like, wow, And I was like, okay, no more. I'm only calling in healthy dynamics with men from here on out. I'm going to shine the purity of my heart, even though that feels really, really vulnerable. I'm only going to call in men that can hold my heart in utter reverence, friendships, conversations. And when I finally meet my soulmate, well, of course, he shows up a few weeks later after I go through that. And we've been together ever since, this beautiful man that I'm so deeply in love with. And
you
what's
both
emerged?
radiate too, like,
Oh,
like just to
oh,
see that, sister, like when you first shared him, I was like, oh, yes, like you can truly see and feel that. So I'm literally celebrating
oh,
that.
oh,
That's what happens
thank you.
when we do the work, right?
Totally. Thank you so much, beautiful. That means so much. And yeah, it's like what's been an edge for me in relationship with him and with our sex is me leaning into like the really soft, pure feminine that is just so completely tender and sweet and just, oh my gosh, because it's easy for me to get into my wild. It's easy for me to have, and I'll still always delve into that with my own self and with our sex for sure. But I'm like, I really actually what's calling me deeper is to go into that purity, that open vulnerability, that softness of I don't always need to be in that wild woman, because sometimes it's me defending myself as a woman in the wild. And sometimes we need to, but also we can actually live life with just that open-hearted softness, and we'll be so protected in that, because when we can protect ourselves in that, we'll be protected by the world in that. So for me, how that links into the endangered wild woman, to me, it's really noticing who I am on a multi-spectrum level. It's like we are everything. So it's like knowing when it's time to be in our utter softness, which is our natural essence as women, and I feel I've been delving into this myself, like where have we been sold into the lie that we always need to be in the dark feminine, the seductress, and always be in like the processing and the void and I've just been looking to that myself, and I'm like, it doesn't actually like turn me on like it used to. Like it's not as necessary as I don't really enter that world anymore. I used to be so comfortable living in the underworld and living in that. But really for most of this year, to be honest, I haven't really journeyed that deeply into that underworld anymore. And it's like when I need to feel my grief, I'll go into that. When I need to feel my rage and anger, I'll go into that, but it won't be like these long periods of time. It'll be just like 3 days, and then I'll emerge on the other side. And if I'm going through a death, which I have been constantly living in Tulum for 10 months, it's like moving through that with a lot more grace. Of like, wow, I can actually move through this with a lot more grace than I thought I could. It doesn't always need to be my wild woman, because sometimes that's coming from fear, actually. And so I can go, wow, actually, I'm feeling I need to emerge deeper into my depths, but I can do that with grace. And who am I going to be on the other side of that? Wow, I'm excited to meet her. Of like moving through this with much more grace, because I feel like we can carry all of it. And I know my wild woman is always there, and she's going to come out when she needs to come out, but not in a way that's going to exhaust me, but in a way that's like when I really need her to be there, she'll be there, and she'll be there for my people. She's not going anywhere, but I feel at our core essence, we are so soft and so delicate. Like we really are. And I feel that's really part of our, deep awakening of the wild woman. And we do it in our unique ways, right? So I hope that makes sense. I feel like there's so many nuances and things to that. So
absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. And I so resonate. That's what I'm journeying through, and like dying and being reborn so much at the moment.
Yes.
It's literally letting go of that seductress and just like honoring my body and honoring the softness and honoring the vulnerability, and just allowing myself to actually show up in the world completely raw and vulnerable and bare. I feel like the last few weeks I've emerged bare, and just like totally holding myself in that. So I so hear you, sister.
I feel you in that, beautiful. I feel you in that. It's been so exquisite to watch you in that. And it's something that's so, it's like I almost can't put into words how sacred it is. It's so sacred. Like women to me are just so fucking magnificent. Like we're so tender and delicate, and because it's like we can't have one without the other, which means we're also so deeply strong and resilient all at once.
Totally.
All of it.
Absolutely.
And like for so long my identity was based, and I feel like this may help a lot of women. My identity for so long was based on the seductress, and there's nothing wrong with her. Not at all am I shaming her. She'll always live inside of me, but from the energy that I was playing in that with, like, you know, now when I play in that with my man, for example, a beautiful example, it's like, it's not in like a manipulative way. For right now, for example, I'm ovulating. So he can feel, oh, she's so ripe. She's so turned on. Like when I'm premenstrual, like very much more at a distance, but I'm like, oh, I just want him all the time. So I play with my inner seductress, but it's not manipulating or wanting to have power over. It's like, oh, it makes him feel really good as a man because I desire him and I'm letting him know, right? Compared to, oh, I want to get exactly what I want to have power over him. It's very, very different.
Absolutely. And you can actually see and hear that too. Like I've started watching shows like Vikings and Outlander, and they talk about the witch. They talk about how he was under a spell, and it is so true. Like when we are actually deeply connected and tapped into our seductress, we can literally have anything we want.
Yes.
And it comes from a place of like validation and manipulation, and you know, and this darkness.
Yes.
And you're right, like we don't have to wrong her anymore. Like we don't have to shame her, and we can just witness when we are in that and like own that and pull it back and be like, no, like come from a heart-centered place with our seductress and our play and the permission to allow her to come forward with the other person, as opposed to it being that underlying spell.
Oh, yes. You just worded it and articulated it so beautifully. That's it. Yes. And like not shaming her when she comes up, because she's a beautiful aspect of being a woman. She's divine. She's so sexy and powerful. It's just like so many of us women haven't been taught how to wield that power, right? And having so much compassion for ourselves, like most of us haven't been taught. We haven't been initiated. We haven't been shown. So it's like going, oh, wow, she gets to be here. And we get to wield this power with so much integrity and also play in that yummy energy of what the seductress really is, because she's powerful and she makes things happen.
Yes, right? Like we want her for manifestation. We want her when we want to create. Like she is who we call upon when we are wanting to create and manifest everything and actually receive it too. Like not just create it, but receive it.
Absolutely.
And such a key part.
Yes. And for any women tuning in, when it comes to money, not feeling guilty or shame around wanting more money, call on your inner seductress. There is nothing non-integral about calling. Oh, that'll do. About wanting more money. Call on your inner seductress and going, wow, I desire more money. I want to play in that realm. All that feels good. Use that seductress to call that in. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, knowing that the more you receive as a woman, the more that you give. When a woman is nourished, we just, because we're always giving. We're always giving, so we get to receive so much more, because women never stop giving. It's just our nature.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh,
I love it.
So yummy.
My God. I love it. I guess I would love for you to share for women that are feeling like this resonates and this is actually really hitting, how can they step forward more into the integrity of the wild woman, like the integrity of Mama Gaia, and how she can play in that realm?
Oh, such a great question. Your questions are amazing. Yes. So playing in integrity of the wild woman, and however you want to activate that within yourself, is knowing where you're coming from. So if you're wanting to activate the wild woman just to have power over anybody, well, that would mean you'd be out of integrity. But if you want to bring more of your wild woman out so you can speak more fiercely online, so you can call people forward more in taking better care of the earth, so you can speak about the things that you're so passionate about, and know that when you're speaking from your fiery energy that you're coming from, like, let's band together and take better care of this earth. Let's take better care of each other. Like, when you're coming from that energy, you will be received so differently. Sometimes I come online and I'm super fierce, but what's pumping through me is this deep passion to help ignite people's energies when it comes to something around the earth, or if the indigenous tribes, if people have come in, the greedy corporations, and they're killing the indigenous peoples to tear up more of their earth. I'm going to get pretty fiery, but it's coming from wanting to take deep care of those indigenous tribes and bring a light to what's going on, knowing that people are going to really receive where I'm coming from. And even if it may trigger or activate people, it's knowing the energy that you're coming from. And we're all human. There's been times I've jumped on a live stream in the past where I've been angry, and underneath that was just deep care, but I was coming from the energy of anger. So I was being received differently. And also I acknowledged it afterwards of, oof, I could have actually moved through that anger first and dropped into the vulnerability of like, oh, I see this thing going on in the world and it really hurts my heart, and shown up in that, because my anger has a ripple effect. And even though I meant well, still I was showing up in my anger, which means that's going to impact people and that could really hurt someone. And just being responsible. And that's part of leadership, going, oh, okay, I was a bit out of integrity there. And so knowing whatever energy we're in is what's going to be transmitted to people, whether they're aware of it or not. Whatever we're sitting with, if I'm feeling resentful, for example, of what's going on in the earth, and like I share that on a live stream, even though it's not directed at those people watching, still that's the energy being transmitted. So I feel like coming up in fiery passion, or when you feel centered enough to be in that wild woman energy, because our wild woman energy is so big and vast, people will be able to really receive and know where you're coming from. And it takes time, right? It's like, it just takes time to really be able to trust yourself, to hold yourself in that. And then you can hold people if triggers come up within them, where you're coming from. And you can hold them. There's been times where people have been really triggered by a live video I did, but because I knew I was in integrity, I was able to really hold them in that trigger. And then they came through the other side. They're like, wow, thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes. And that's like the feminine goddess, queen, leader stand that you are. Like, you literally just, you own all of it. You hold people, you see them, and you just fucking love them so deeply where they are. That's why I love you so freaking much, sister. Like, and I love that you've spoken into the fact that you're still human. Yes. Like, we're all still human. And I feel like so many people that, because we show up like this, it's not how business has always been done, and we show up in our rawness, we show up in our wildness, we show up in our truth and in our sovereignty, but it's not professional, and it triggers people, and we just get to hold them in that. And I love that you've spoken into that, because yes, we still are human, and yes, we still sometimes show up and we're like, roar. And especially, like, I know I did this probably about a month ago, like, showed up in my anger, and I wanted to show people like how I release it through primal screaming. And I showed up and I was like, like no more narcissism, like no more do we have to, no more hurting people, and we're seeing this at a global level. And I'm like, I was so in my fire, so in my fire for how much like narcissism we're seeing at a global level, right?
Yes.
And of course, like everything that we see is a reflection of what's going on internally. So it's being reflected to me in that relationship at a global level, inviting me to come into myself. And like we get to be human, and we get to experience it, and we get to show up in that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, beautiful sister. And I love your authentic leadership too. It's one of the things I respect in you so deeply, just how authentic you are. And like you sharing that also just reminded me too, like it's okay as well to any woman tuning in to show up in anger. Just if you feel that you can hold yourself in that, I feel like that's the difference, right? It's okay, you know, when it's for a cause, and just like, you know, like when it's something you're so passionate about, like, oh, you know, instead of like, for example, you could jump online and hypothetically speaking, you're tearing down a leader or something, right? Massive difference. But coming on and saying, no more, we must take better care of the earth. That's such a different direction of that anger. And anger is powerful. It's such a passionate energy. I actually really love the energy of anger now. I'm comfortable with it now. It's powerful.
Totally. And it's like inspiring. Like when I'm in my anger, it actually ignites this flame in me to just be like, I want to burn it all down so that we can start over and like regenerate. Because that's what fire is, right? Like it burns it down to regenerate. And that's what anger does for me. Like I'm the same. Like I love anger. I'm like, cool. Like what are we transmuting today? Like what can we ignite and rejuvenate today?
Yes, me too. Oh, I love this so much.
Isn't this amazing? Like I feel so full right now. Like I'm going into medicine this weekend, and I'm just like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. Like,
yes.
Woo! So I would love for you to maybe share maybe 2 more like significant pieces that you feel are so vital in us stepping forward into this new earth, into the destruction that's coming. Like we have to, like things have to break.
Yes.
Right now we're seeing that. Right now we're seeing that the system, that the way things have been perceived and the way that we have done life for so long, it's breaking. And I feel like there's more of that to come. What would you recommend to those who are feeling overwhelmed or feeling like they're not able to hold through this? How can they actually call in their wild woman to hold themselves through this right now?
Oh, beautiful question once again. I love this so much. The 2 words that dropped in when you're sharing was compassion and courage. I feel that when we can have compassion for the times that we feel overwhelmed, then we're able to just let ourselves unfold, unravel, maybe burn things to the ground. Like when I'm judging myself for feeling overwhelmed, it just perpetuates it even more, because I'm so sensitive and I care so much about people that like my heart breaks weekly about what's happening on the earth. So what's helped me the most, speaking to the times that we're in right now, is having such compassion for myself when I hit overwhelm and going, okay, what do I need right now? And coming back to the basics, bringing it back to simplicity. I'm like, okay, I just need to take myself to the spa, or I just need to have a good cry, or maybe I need to have a phone call with the sister and just like sob and let her hear me. So just coming back to the things that really nourish us, and like, first of all, just being okay that you're overwhelmed. Like it's so valid. Like what we're all moving through is so big. Like nothing is ever going to be the same. There's so much unknown, and everything that's going on is so huge. And just going, wow, yeah, it's so okay. I feel overwhelmed. What could I do in this moment and today to feel better? Like a few days ago, I was feeling overwhelmed, and I said to my man, I'm taking us to the spa. I was like, I had all these things I needed to do on the to-do list, and I was like, no, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Let's go to the spa. We spent like 2 hours in the spa and the plunge pool and just going back and forth in the sauna. And then, you know, an acai bowl and just all of those things that make me feel really good. And it's just like 5 hours later, I'm like, wow, I feel so much better. And I talked to him about how I was feeling and oh my God, just how much it shifts. And then courage. And to me, this is the core of the wild woman, is courage. It's not about having it all figured out. It's not about being perfect. I don't even know what perfect means. It's not about having a big following online. It doesn't matter how much money you've got sitting in your bank account. It's your courage. I truly believe those two things have gotten me to where I am today. I'm serious. Like I'm no more special than any other woman or any other human being. I've gone through all types of trauma and abuse, but the one thing I can say that I know that's gotten me through is compassion and courage. Yeah.
I can adore you, sister. Like,
oh, I adore you too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, final piece. You've given so much. Like, there's so much that people can take, I think, and truly apply. What would be one piece of advice that you would give to these women that are in their fire and maybe in their seductress, and they are maybe not playing with the integrity of that because they don't realize, and they're in their pain and they're in their wounding and they're in their, you know, in their burnt witch or their patriarchal vulgar or whatever it is that is like totally allowed, right? Like there's no right or wrong in that. They're allowed that. Like it's from a place of depth and real, like reality, but it also is inciting more division and pain. So for those women that maybe are in that, what would you encourage her and call her forward with love with to do that?
Love this so much. First of all, I would say to that woman or all the women tuning into this is give yourself permission to go there. So without shaming or judging where you're at right now, give yourself permission to go there. If you're in a phase right now where you're really angry at men, go into that without attacking them online or, you know, getting to the point where you may be attacking men, just allowing yourself to be really angry. That's how I was able to attract my soulmate. I first had to go through, it's been over the years, really, not just like one major big breakthrough, but my commitment to healing that wound and all the pain that men have put me through in my journey. I chose to go, I actually just need to feel my deep hatred and anger actually against the masculine. I had to really go to those depths first in a safe space. So being held by women was the thing that helped me the most, because they understood and they really held that space for me of just like that deep anger and hatred, which wasn't my highest truth, but was what was in my pain body that I was still replicating and being in the seductress. So because I'd been so hurt by men, I was in the seductress energy because I wanted to feel empowered around them. So I would say make sure you have women around you feel really safe with, that can hold you as you feel that. Like really, whether you go to a healer, a practitioner, or women's circle, we can only take ourselves so far. We also need to be witnessed and held to take us even deeper. And the healing that happens knowing that you feel safe to go there. And just allowing yourself to feel that without guilt. If you feel rage against the masculine, like just going there. I do rage exercises when I feel the need to do it. Just put on music that gets me really pumped up and punch pillows and scream into pillows in a safe space. And like shaking, allowing my body to move. And that's being completely self-responsible. So moving into calling all you beautiful women forward is, you know, being self-responsible, that this is, you know, your energy, that this is for you to be responsible for. And what happened to you was not your fault. And that's a really important part of the healing process. So what you experienced or what you have experienced with the patriarchy with men, it's not your fault. And absolutely, you've been a victim to circumstances, and that is the truth. but it is your responsibility to now take care of yourself and be in integrity with yourself, because there are the most beautiful, exquisite, sacred men on this planet. I have brothers in my life and friends in my life, and my partner is an example of that. And I had to believe in that again for him to enter my life and to be able to have healthy friendships with men. So it's absolutely possible. I was in dysfunctional relationships with men most of my life. So that's what I would say. Really allowing yourself to go there, take the time to heal, and be responsible with how you treat men and the thoughts that you think. If you think, oh, there's no good men out there, well, that's also perpetuating, a dysfunctional cycle with men. And that's not the truth. So, yeah.
Yes. Oh, sister, thank you so much. So I'm going to drop links to how people can connect with you. If you've got a sacred offering, then we're going to drop a link for that. And for just people that resonate with everything that you've said, everything that you're a stand for, please connect with this beautiful sister. We look forward to having you back on our land, but just like celebrating you from afar, sister, and fucking love you, and so grateful for how you are in this world, getting to walk beside you and this beautiful share.
Oh, sister, your words are just so felt and received with so much gratitude. Thank you so deeply. I can't wait to get back on that soil and squeeze you all and hug you all. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. I'm so honored and grateful. And I just love who you are and what you're a stand for, and the way that you call people forward with so much love and humility and fierceness. Like, you're such a powerful woman. Thank you so much for all that you are. I love you so deeply.
Thank you, Queen. Straight back at you. Oh, the magic. Would you like any final share, or do you feel complete, my love?
I feel complete. I'm a stand for all of you beautiful women to be in your full wildness and power, knowing that you can have it all and be it all. Nothing is out of your reach. Oh,
yeah. Oh my goodness. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and follow for more. And please comment and let us know, what was your favorite part about this video? What was the thing that really deeply resonated with you that you can take away and apply in your life today? Biggest love to you. I look forward to hearing and speaking to you next time.